So it was popular enough, and I got enough feedback about the server that I thought I would go ahead and do like a little bit of a walkthrough, what I did, how I set it up, and it's not anywhere near complete. And this isn't a tutorial, but this is kind of the steps I went through to go ahead and create it. So we'll talk about it, about what I did and some of the trouble I had that might help keep you from having the same trouble. So let's do that. So one of the first challenges was just finding a platform to put it on. Originally, I was going to go ahead over my shoulder there, over the green chair. There's in that I believe is an AMD 3600X Ryzen, just a regular CPU and motherboard combo and all that. I got to thinking that might be a little bit more than I needed, and I kept playing around with the idea of that Xeon processor. Now, I had made a couple of videos before about the Dell taking the Dell motherboard out and putting in a different case and all that other stuff. But what I eventually did is I went ahead and ordered a combo kit. I was going to order the motherboard, but I found the combo kit that had a 4-core, 4-thread, just a regular i5 processor that I believe was a 4540 or something like that, 4550. If I remember, I'll go ahead and post it up on the screen here. Or if I look at it, it's what I'm using now. So I went ahead and did that. Then I had to find a couple of drives that were going to be useful in it. I ordered myself an 8 terabyte drive, and we'll get to how some things got set up there. It also has two 1 terabyte drives in it. They're in separate pools, and we'll talk about that in just a few minutes. Got everything situated, figured out. I now have a not generic, it's an Asus motherboard with 4th gen i5, 4-core, 4-thread, in that the older HP case. Fits fine, everything works great. My next move was to go ahead and figure out what I was going to use as a server. Now, I'm going with TrueNAS Scale. The reason why I'm doing that is because it is a Linux-based, and it has some apps that are already available that I am going to also talk about just a little bit later. But it should make my job trying to monitor things a little bit easier, and even maybe eventually schedule some things and make where I can get this information that's on my server available to me if I'm, editing a video at my sister's house or something, So TrueNAS, we got that. We went ahead and downloaded that, but you need to put that, it comes as an ISO, which is just the regular image like you would find on an old disk like Windows used to come. That image then has to be converted to something or put on a bootable USB stick that can actually boot the computer up. Now, in my case, I'm using an M.2 SATA, but it's 100 gig. So that's going to be plenty enough to put the operating system on and maybe store one or two things as a backup to the operating system or some kind of, to configure a few things. Plenty. You can also do this, say, running off a USB stick. This has the ISO on it that I was talking about downloading a minute ago by use of a tool called Rufus. This is going to erase everything else that's on this USB stick. So if you have something you need to keep on it, back it up, do something else with it, because you'll need basically a clean and newly formatted USB drive. Used Rufus to put the bootable ISO on here. You can use another USB as the operating system for that TrueNAS, or you can do like I did, and I went ahead and got already had a SATA drive that happened to be an M.2. I used a little caddy, stuck everything together. Basically, it's installed and it takes the place of a 2.5-inch drive. Works fine. I then got just a little bit confused because I wasn't sure how much needed to be set up from the operating system on the computer itself. As it turns out, it got done installing, and it was telling me to go and look at a particular IP address. It's a local IP address on my home network. I went ahead, and when I followed that, it took me to a login screen. I basically set everything up with a password and all that good stuff, and got in where I could actually see some dashboards. Now, the next step was to go ahead and add drives to the pool. I have two different pools. One of them is a smaller one with the two 1 terabyte drives. They are in mirror, so they back each other up, and if I have a failure somewhere, then I won't lose that data. I originally thought that was going to be for some smaller things, It turns out the computer also wants to use that, or the the server also wants to use that for some of its files, and I'm fine with that as well. The other one was I got that 8 terabyte drive. It's a Seagate 8 terabyte, and trying to use that as a single pool by itself, it doesn't like too much because it wants to be able to back something up or wants to have some kind of backup or some kind of fail-safe. And when you're operating a pool with one drive in it, it gives you a bunch of warnings, but you can step through that. You have to name the pool, you have to select what drives are going to be in it, and you have to go ahead and if it gives you any kind of warnings, heed that warning or go ahead and proceed with whatever caution you need to. So in my case, I've got two 1 terabytes that are mirrored. They're exact copies of each other. And I got an 8 terabyte, which is going to have another 8 terabyte in it soon. So then we're going to have it set up that way. The reason why I chose TrueNAS Scale is because it has dozens of apps that are ready-made and available to go ahead and install. And so I've started installing a couple of them that I'm playing with. And these are going to have to do with monitoring. So I'll be able to tell when the system is healthy, when things are, maybe something's not going right, the CPU usage is too high, the disk usage is too high, or, things of that nature. So I'll be playing around with those. I don't have them quite working yet. A node exporter is going to be a thorn in my side for a minute, but that means I'm just going to have to go back to the computer, and it's supposed to be with Prometheus, but didn't quite work out that way, so I'll have to go kind of do a little bit of troubleshooting. But in any case, I now have backups where, say, the videos and everything from this video, all that is being stored on the network, and I can reach it from either this computer, my editing rig, or the next computer, which is going to be my editing rig. That's Coolblue. It's going to be an interesting experiment there because Coolblue, I'm going to go ahead and edit this video and I'm going to render this video on both of these computers. Now, it doesn't matter which one you guys end up seeing. It will probably be the one off of my editing rig because that's the way everything's already set up now. But I'm very curious because one of the videos I'm going to do is comparing the render times of my older setup versus what is going to be the newer setup. The newer one has the 12th generation i7 in it with the ARC A750. This current one has a 5800X and it has a 3060 Ti. So I'll be kind of curious to see what the render times, or what the difference is going to be in those. And if I'm picking up something, I'm sure I will with the 12th gen CPU, but hopefully we'll be able to see a little bit of that. Irregardless of that, that's a video coming up, so you might want to stay tuned if you're not already subscribed. But all that I can easily keep in the pool or in a folder that I've created on the desktop that goes straight to the server. I can access it from any one of the computers on my network, and hopefully with the use of these apps that I was talking about earlier, I'll get to the point where I can access this also from a remote site. There's a few things concerning VPN that I, creating my own VPN so I don't have to pay for one and all that I'd like to set up. But in any case, now I have a fully operational server, and I feel a little bit better about moving all of my files into one spot where they're not going to get lost. Now, I will feel even more better. I will feel even more secure, better, however that works out. I will feel even better than that when I'm able to get that second 8 terabyte drive and I know those are mirrored. So until that happens, I'm not going to start removing stuff from the older drives or the other drives in the other computers until I know for sure that those are saved. So I'm operating with, it's not efficient, but I'm operating with the one copy on whichever computer I'm using, and the second copy is now on my server. That will change where the things like that will just be on the server when I have 2 8 terabytes that I can mirror. Anyway, it wasn't too difficult to set up. The most trouble that I've had so far is trying to get some of the apps to kind of play well with each other or figure those out. It is a little bit of a learning curve. You just have to go through, and there's a lot of information. There's information online, not only on TrueNAS, but there's also information in Reddit posts and YouTube videos, just a bunch of information out there to make this a little bit easier to navigate and to get through. So if it's something you're interested in and something you're choosing to do, maybe this video helps a little bit, the steps that I took. Like I said, it's not a full tutorial. I'm not very good at this. I can't teach this, but I can kind of let you guys know what steps I went through to set this up. If this is something you're thinking about doing, I fully recommend it because, especially if you have more than one computer in your house. there's so many different applications you can use, from a media server to like a storage device like I'm using to, I've seen people talk about using it as a game server. So hopefully this video has helped a little bit and maybe filled in a couple of questions, or answered a curiosity, or just been a little bit interesting, or even maybe, started you thinking about having your own home server. If it has, if any that's been interesting or just kind of curious, or you enjoyed it at all, go ahead and throw a thumbs up on it. That'd be great. Really close to 800 subscribers, trying to get to 800 on my way to 1,000 and get monetized. I think that would be pretty cool. Hint, hint, nudge, nudge, know what I mean, know what I mean. The end of the year is coming. That means that there's going to be a lot of stuff that everybody's always going to make resolutions. I'm starting some of mine now. I'm going to try to stream on that purple channel a little bit more often. Right now it's No Man's Sky, so if you're curious about that. Videos, I'm trying to make sure I get out videos at least once a week on this channel and once a week on the gaming channel. So we'll step that cadence up after I get down a couple of things down pat. Always got the tech blog over on ThatPaulGuy.net, which is my website, and buymeacoffee.com is where I have a non-tech related blog. And all those will be covered before too long. I'll put out like a summer update or a fall update where I'll let you guys know what's going on with all my socials and how all that stuff is changing. But don't forget to go visit and explore and all that, especially because we're going to be making some changes, hopefully some good ones soon. If you don't do anything else, do me at least one favor if you don't mind, and that's just be good to each other. Be kind, smile, wave, hold the door open, say good morning. Just a small, polite conversation. It doesn't cost anything to be kind to somebody, and it makes a world of difference to somebody. It could make somebody's entire day. You never know what influence you can have on somebody by a simple smile or a simple wave or a simple hello. So do that. It's not really any effort, is it? I mean, it's really easy to do. Hello. Not a problem at all. Anyway, that is going to do it for me today. I do have other stuff coming up, like I said, but until I get myself into something I got no business getting into, I'll see you later.